Welcome to the IKE Badgers Podcast.
Welcome to the IKE Badgers Podcast. My name is Jack Eichstaedt, and today KJ sits down with Jack Sanborn, the dynamic Badgers linebacker who is coming back next season. It's about to be hype. We have a great conversation with him. I think you guys will enjoy. We're IKE_Badgers on Twitter. Make sure to hit us with a follow. Please subscribe on this podcast wherever you listen and leave a 5-star review if you enjoy the show. That's how we can grow. Now let's jump in with Jack. Here we go.
Jack Sanborn, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing great. We're very excited to have you on today. For those that don't know Jack, he's a rising linebacker at Wisconsin, has been a mainstay in the Badgers defense, playing with guys like Zach Vaughn, Chris Orr, and being coached by the legendary Jim Leonhard. We're going to cover all that, and we couldn't be more excited to hear that he's coming back for another year. My name is KJ Eichstaedt. We're here with Jack Sanborn, and you are listening to the IKE Badgers Podcast. So, Jack, you're from the Lake Zurich, Illinois area where you played your high school ball as well. And it's one of those areas with decent proximity to Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, a lot of these Big Ten universities. And you took a few visits to Iowa and Iowa State before ultimately deciding on Wisconsin. Were you ever close to committing anywhere else? And what was your impression of Wisconsin during your high school years?
Yeah, like you said, I'm from Lake Zurich, which is kind of just northwest Chicago. And yeah, I mean, the proximity to Wisconsin is really the closest Big Ten and kind of big university to where I live besides like Northwestern there in Evanston. But I wouldn't say I was really close at all to really committing anywhere else. Like you said, I did take a lot of it. I did take other visits to some other places, was interested in other places, but ultimately, I mean, when I thought about Wisconsin, I thought it had everything that I was looking for in a college, a university, a place to live for the next chapter of my life. And as they had obviously great football, great academics, and then just being in a city like Madison, a great social life, a time where, you know, I thought I could really enjoy the next 4 to 5 years of my life, and so far it's lived up and exceeded my expectations coming in.
Yeah, that's one thing that's amazing about Madison is just like the community aspect of it. The college town experience is unbeatable. What do you remember about, visiting Madison prior to your commitment?
My first visit was when Ohio State came to Madison. I want to say 2017 possibly.
Yeah.
2016, somewhere around there. And obviously, Wisconsin lost in overtime, but just being there for that game and my first time in Madison, I mean, just realizing the football atmosphere around Camp Randall for a game like that, I mean, it was like, this is the game that I want to play in. Like, these are the games that you grew up wanting to play in, that you want to be in. And so just seeing that, it was really eye-opening. And then obviously coming back a few more times, getting to meet the coaches, getting to meet players, and then ultimately coming to the decision that Wisconsin is where I want to be. Wisconsin is where I'm going to spend the next 4 years.
Yeah, we're really happy you ended up choosing Wisconsin. So
appreciate that.
We need to get those fans back in the stands, by the way.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do.
Wisconsin has a sparkling reputation for developing players, often taking walk-ons and less heralded recruits and turning them into NFL caliber players and also tremendous young men. So what was it like when you first got to Madison as a freshman? And were there any upperclassmen who took you under their wing?
It was weird when I first got here. I mean, coming in, you hear all the stories, like how, you were a big fish in a small pond, and now you're a small fish in a big pond, and all this kind of things, all of those sayings. But you don't really understand it until you kind of get here. And, the first summer I was here, the first fall camp, I remember, and it was kind of eye-opening and just like, hey, you need to work for everything. I mean, nothing's given to you. You need to earn everything, and that's kind of what I found to be true that first fall camp in my freshman year. for an example. And yeah, but I was lucky enough to come into a linebacker room that was absolutely stacked with a lot of just a linebacker room that had a ton of talent, a ton of experience, and I was grateful enough to learn from them. I mean, guys like TJ Edwards, Ryan Conley, Chris Orr. I mean, every single one of those guys. I don't think that I would be where I'm at right now as a player if I wasn't in that situation, learning from them. And so now me being that older guy in the room, crazy to think. I mean, it's already been almost 4 years. I feel like that's kind of my job now too, is to help those guys coming in, because I understand what TJ meant to me, what Ryan meant to me, and what Chris meant to me in my development. So, I mean, yeah, I would say those guys kind of took me under their wing just because, I mean, that year I was a backup, so I was in all the meetings with them, did everything they did in practice and all that, and obviously a little bit worse probably than them, but no, but they helped me extremely.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got another great young talent out over there, Nick Herbig, and I'm sure there's players that, aren't really in the spotlight right now that are going to break out just like they always do. One of the things that you just mentioned that kind of stood out to me is the fact that there's this culture of like working for, everything you have at Madison and then seeing the results come later. And it just made me think about these programs. Like, for example, in my life, I grew up watching, Texas and Michigan be two of the most flashy, dominant programs in like my early years of experiencing college football. And then now it's been, you blink and like 10, 15 years have gone by and these superstar loaded programs are just kind of in mediocrity. And you wonder, obviously it's a complex thing, but you wonder if it's not like they don't get high recruits. It might have something to do with just the culture and the mentorship of the older guys to the younger guys. And just kind of expanding off that, one thing Jonathan Taylor would always allude to, Melvin Gordon, those guys would be raising the bar in the running back room. And it's kind of like a parallel I see with the linebacking room all of a sudden, where, I mean, every year you guys have guys setting the bar higher and higher, including yourself. I mean, your first season, I think we'll get to that in a sec, but just continuously raising the bar.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said multiple times for the linebackers. I remember Zach Ball was the first one that said it, but we don't rebuild, we just reload. And I think that just speaks to kind of everyone, when you come here, you got to understand the tradition of linebacker that is set here at Wisconsin. And that's something that I came in with an understanding of. Like, this room has expectations, both inside linebacker and outside linebacker. And there are expectations that, you want to be that next guy. You want to uphold the tradition of the linebacker room and kind of just being great. But also, I mean, there are times where it's like, hey, we need to improve and we can improve. Like, I remember after TJ and Ryan left, I mean, two great players. And when we were in off season going into my sophomore year, we knew that there were still there were a lot of areas that we could improve and that we needed to improve. And, same speaks to this off season. There are a lot of things that we look at and we're like, hey, we can do this so much better. We can be so much better than we were before. So yeah, it kind of is that raising the bar. I mean, you don't want to get complacent, complacency kills and that kind of thing. So it's kind of just keep getting better. And I think that's what's great about here, is that everyone understands that there's always another level you can take it. There's always another bar to eclipse. I
mean, guys, like, you look at someone in like a small vacuum like Zach Bond, didn't really get a ton of playing time for the Saints, but then as the year progressed, just making an impact on special teams, making an impact in the playoffs. And there's guys like TJ Watt and JJ Watt who are showing that there really is no limit to, what you can do when you come out of the Wisconsin defense into the NFL. So that's just got to be super exciting for the future and motivating to just keep working, keep studying that film, keep learning from Jim Leonhard. So just to take it back for a sec, what do you remember most about your Camp Randall debut?
Camp Randall debut. I remember it was my freshman year, and I remember I was asking TJ Edwards the week before practice really like what it's like, and he was just talking about how awesome it is. And then but it was kind of mixed bag of emotions. I remember running out there and just like kind of that wow, like it's crazy. I mean, 80,000+ fans. It was a night game under the lights.
They're rowdy too.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then at the same time, though, I mean, I knew going into the game that I wasn't going to play because I think at that point, my freshman year, the plan was to redshirt me. So I knew that I wasn't going to play, and that's where like the other side. I was like, I just want to be playing. I just want to be out there.
Getting that delayed gratification.
Getting that action, and just going out there and playing football in this stadium with all those fans. So
let me ask you this. Let me expand on that a sec. Do you remember your first like big hit as a Badger? You just like laid someone out and you're like, wow, like I'm here, college level, I'm on the field, I'm doing my thing.
My first big play was against Illinois, probably. And because I mean we have a saying in like our linebacker room, like death row. That's what we call it.
I like that.
Yeah, to be able to like say death row, though, you have to like make an impact and make a big play on the field. And I think that's where I got mine. I don't know. Chris Orr was the man of it, so he kind of decided. But yeah, I think Illinois, when I forced a fumble, and I mean I forced the fumble, and then Chris ended up recovering it, and I didn't even know what I was doing. I just like jumped up. I think I headbutted one of my friends, Chase Wolf, who didn't even have a helmet on, had the headset. I just jumped up and just like headbutted him in the head. He still tells me about that. And it was freezing that game too. That was the game where it was like all 4 seasons in one game. So, I mean, I don't know what I was doing. I didn't know what to do.
Hey, that was awesome. That was awesome. So after a relatively, let's just say normal freshman year, you burst on the scene in year 2, recording 80 tackles, 5.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions. Did you have a feeling you're in for a big year? And like, how much did just practicing with those, death row linebackers help raise your confidence?
Yeah, I think confidence is one of the most important things that you can have at this level, with so many great athletes and so many great football players all around. I think that the number one thing is you have to be confident in yourself. And like you said, I mean, so many great linebackers, like we talked about a little bit my freshman year. I mean, being able to learn under them, I think that's what started to build my confidence. Confident not only in just like the playbook, what I'm doing. I mean, that's the first step of it all. But then confident enough that you can take that and then perform on Saturdays and go out there and make plays. So I think the first few games of my sophomore year, I want to say the first like 2 games, it was kind of like a feeling out, kind of man, like I kind of just I want to just do my job, kind of do that thing. And then as those games went on, then it was like getting used to that game experience, that playing every snap experience. Then it was just like, okay. Then I think that's when I flipped like to now where I was just very confident in myself that I can go out there and be consistent and make just plays for our team and really take my game to another level. And then I think that's like, then Michigan game happened. I think I played pretty well in that game.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a fun game. So that game happened, gained confidence. And then, I mean, just as the season, I mean, the best teacher is experience, as they say.
Yeah.
And I think that for football, that is the most important thing. And then, I mean, so when I looked back last year, really on my sophomore year, I mean, me at the end of the year compared to the beginning of the year, they were like 2 different players, in my opinion. It was like one player was confident in himself, but wasn't really seeing things at a rate that I think I should have been or needed to. And then by the end of my sophomore year, it was kind of just like, okay, I'm clicking. I know what I'm doing. I'm confident enough in myself to do it. And then it was just, okay, it's slowing down for me. Getting more, I'm more understanding of everything that's going on. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just reminds me of this scene right before Anakin is going to do the pod race in Star Wars Episode 1 where Qui-Gon says, like, I think it says like something like, feel, don't think, use your instincts. And that's kind of sounds like what you were talking about right there, is just kind of getting more instinctual on the field and just reacting quicker and just kind of flying into those holes and making plays, not necessarily worrying about stats, but just making plays for the team and the teammates.
Yeah, I mean, defense is all about reaction. I mean, the quicker reaction you can to get to the hole, get to the ball, whatever it is. So, yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, and especially that Michigan game. I mean, just thinking back to it as you were talking, like everyone was lighting up the Michigan guys that day. I think we had Eric Burrell just smack a guy super hard, and I think maybe Reggie Pearson was in on that as well. But that was just a fun game. I'm sure everyone was just...
The fans there is what made that game special, too.
Yeah, I mean, the tailgate for that one was probably the last time I was actually in a legitimate tailgate for Madison, but hopefully soon.
The scene of the whole student section jumping around and the one Michigan fan just in the front, I mean, that's a great scene in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so how about this? It's not just about the present. It's also about the future. So that being said, Jack, who are a few NFL players, not just one or two, but maybe, a few that come to your mind? Who are a few NFL players you model your game after?
I mean, I wouldn't say I model my game after anyone. I think everyone is like their own player in a way. But, I mean, some players that I love to watch is, one was Luke Kuechly before he retired.
Very instinctual.
Yeah, I mean, very instinctual and just very smart. I mean, arguably the smartest linebacker to play the game of football, and I think that's just something that, as a linebacker, is so important. Just understanding the game, being smart, understanding situations, being able to really understand what offenses are being able to do. And then another is Fred Warner of the 49ers. I mean, just a guy that just flies around, a little smaller, a little lighter maybe, but just, I mean, the speed that he plays at during the game, I mean, is almost second to none. He just flies around, makes plays, is an aggressive player. And then I also love watching Eric Kendricks on the Vikings. I mean, just probably the best coverage linebacker there is in football today, and just what he's able to do, not only in coverage but also against the run and be a playmaker that he is. I think those are three players that I've probably watched the most of and really enjoy watching the most. But then again, there are so many others off the top of my head, like Bobby Wagner, like Roquan Smith of my Bears. So, yeah. But, I mean, I wouldn't really say I'm like, oh, I need to do that like him. I need to do that like him. But, I mean, there are little things that you can understand. I mean, how patient they are with their feet, how angles that they take, things like that you can help translate to your game.
Yeah, one thing you just spoke about is like coverage ability, and that's kind of maybe how a running back like Jonathan Taylor really worked hard on his pass catching ability and ended up being a high draft pick. It's kind of like the same thing for linebackers these days in their ability to cover, because we know you guys can get the sacks and make those plays in terms of tackles, but really guys like Levante David, Luke Kuechly, just these guys who are able to cover, even Bobby Wagner, it kind of just is a really, really, really coveted skill right now in football all over the place as it trends more and more towards passing. And is there just anything that you're working on, I guess, in the offseason to improve those coverage skills? I mean, you had 3 picks, so you're doing pretty well. But yeah, just curious if you're taking that further as you continue to look to become the best player you can.
Yeah, I mean, people tend to think that I'm actually pretty good at coverage, so that's a positive sign.
That's awesome.
I think I am right now, but I mean, yeah, there are things little things like more fluidity to the hips possibly. And then really, I mean, some that I tried to pay attention to a lot more last year was really, I mean, being more focused on not really what the receivers are doing around me, kind of getting into like my area, getting to my drops and everything, but really having just better eyes on quarterbacks and just being able to jump routes a little more cleaner, getting out of breaks a little more cleaner. Because, I mean, a lot of times, I mean, you'll be dropping into coverage, the quarterback won't be looking at your zone or anything, but he'll be looking at a zone right near you. And, you know, being able to break on a ball quicker, being able to just being able to get a tell on that quarterback where he's throwing it sooner. I mean, that's the difference in football from possibly just getting like a tackle or then getting an interception or getting a PBU, something like that. And then I think then one area is just more man-to-man coverage possibly on tight ends. I mean, like you said, the game of football is different than football that from like the early 2000s and things like that. It's a more of a passing game now, a lot more different things offenses do. So, I mean, always just being on top of that and just being the best that you can.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, you don't have to go super deep into this, but talking about guys who move the coverage around with their eyes, who's the best quarterback you ever went up against?
With moving the coverage with your eyes?
I guess just in general, like who's probably the best quarterback you would say, or maybe if you can't decide on one, maybe like one or two or three.
I mean, probably the best quarterback that I played was I would have to probably say Justin Fields. I mean,
he's darn good, yeah.
And I mean, just how athletic he is. I mean, he can really do anything, everything that you want him to do on the field. And yeah, he exploited us a couple of times with his legs and that, and then just having the arm strength that he does, he can really make many throws on the field that some other quarterbacks can't. So if I was to choose one, it'd probably be him.
That's who I was going to guess, and I was just curious what your answer would be. So yeah, I definitely see that. I mean, he looks like he's got NFL written all over him. Taking it back to the defense, what's it like playing for Jim Leonhard? And can you share something unique that he's taught you?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's going to have the same answer for this one. You love playing for the guy.
Yeah.
He's not one of those coaches that is going to get up in your face and shoo you out and things like that. He's much more calm, much more kind of understanding and just a teacher. I mean, he'll know when you mess up, but he won't really say it right then and there. He'll just move on to the next play, but then he'll make sure to just tell you, just make sure you understand. And then he's got so much trust, I think, in us. I mean, even when we do mess up, or even if something we don't do is right, I mean, he's not right there in your face, like I said, and he has an understanding, and I think he has enough trust in us as individuals and as players that we also know when we mess up. Like if I mess up or something, or a DB messes up, we know right then and there, hey, I did that wrong. I did this wrong. And he's not going to chew you out right in that instant, right when you do it, but he's going to make sure to, hey, just help you out and understand how to do that better. And I think that's one trait that I really like about him. And then, then he's just a genius. I mean, you can go up and ask him a question really about anything, and he's going to give you the answer right there. He's going to explain it to you, and he's going to tell you why you do that, not just, oh, you do this. And then
give you a why.
That's it. He's going to give you, you're going to do this because it's going to help you for this, or it's going to help this guy for this, or where your help is. I mean, this guy's also got eyes on this receiver, so you can you can kind of play more a different technique in this situation. Everything like that. I mean, he makes the game seem super simple, which it is. I mean, it's a simple game, but and that's something that I think a lot of people don't take into account. But he tries to make it as simple as possible for everyone, yet it's still pretty complicated. But yeah, I mean, he's a great coach, and I'm lucky to have him as my defensive coordinator.
I mean, we're so thankful to have him at Wisconsin. He's just one of those guys, or I watched growing up, just like fringe, making plays in the NFL, just kind of one of those guys who no one really expect anything from, but he would make an impact, make plays. And I think that's one of his greatest strengths, is being able to, walk on at Wisconsin, achieve some exciting things, and then go to the next level, make an impact there, and then come back so he can relate to really players all across the spectrum. And we recognize that he's one of the most coveted defensive coordinators in the entire sport, whether that's at the college or pro level. And it's just a blessing to be able to have that guy. So that's really exciting to hear, how he operates and how he works with, the defense and from a developmental perspective, that he's a teacher. It's just not very surprising, because he's good at what he does, and In order to be that good, you have to be a great communicator, and you have to be able to relate to people and simplify things to a lower level where these maybe complex techniques can be picked up and then applied. So let's talk about Graham Mertz. What's it like playing with Graham Mertz? And in your own words, what makes him unique?
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing with Graham. I think from day one when he came here, obviously, even now, I think you could say he's one of the most hyped athletes, college players to come into Wisconsin. But just how he has handled everything that comes with that, I think says a lot to who he is. And yeah, I love playing with him. He's got tremendous talent. Even like the first, he enrolled early, so that first spring ball, he was able to make throws that made you kind of pause and go, hey, this guy can play ball. And I think this year was a good experience for him. Obviously, I think he went through some ups and downs throughout the year, and I think a lot goes into that. I don't think that you can just put everything on like Graham's shoulders and say everything's on you and things like that. Football is the ultimate team game, and that's what everyone loves about it. And so, a lot of things go into it, but I think the one thing that he gained this year that overrides everything is the experience. Like I said, experience is the best teacher, and I know how much that helped for me. And I have a belief that it helped Graham a lot too. And one thing is that he works hard. He's someone that I know is always watching film, always has that desire to get better. I remember going to, I forget which road game it was, but, usually I'll watch film a little bit going on the road. Like, I think we were bussing to, I forget where, but usually, I'll just watch a little film just to just watch it again, watch everything one more time. Just get in that mindset of what I'm doing. And he was sitting right near me on the bus, and he was watching the film almost the entire time. And I was like, right there, I was like, this is someone that really wants it. This is someone that has that desire to get better, and that's something that you need. You got to always have that goal and be striving to improve, and that's something that is very important, I think, in an athlete and a college athlete at this level.
That speaks volumes, honestly, because where you're one of the leaders of the defense, the quarterback is by default kind of like the leader of the entire team. And whether it's fair, whether it's not fair, that's kind of be one of those things that's kind of entrusted upon Graham's shoulders. And like you said, a ton of hype, a lot of pressure. And it's just something that he's handling very well. Building off what you were saying, like experience is the best teacher. Well, he experienced adversity too, and that's a great teacher. So, I think a lot of Badger fans all across the spectrum have just faith in Graham Mertz and just, confidence that you can't really expect anything too miraculous in the beginning, as with any athlete, but I think the overarching belief is that this guy he's someone who could lead us to great places. And it's just cool to hear you talk about him from like a defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And someone with Coach Christ and Coach Rudolph as the offensive coaches and heading the offense. You can always have faith that in those guys, and that they're always going to be putting their quarterbacks and everyone on the offense in the best situation they can to go out and succeed. So I think both those combined, I think that I have a lot of faith and a lot of belief that they're gonna do great things next year.
Yeah. I think everyone's excited about just continuing to watch players develop. That's one of those things Madison does better than anybody, is just develop players when they're there. So what's a goal you want to achieve at Madison before moving on to the next level?
I've never really been about really individual goals. I think, like all Big Ten, all American, all that stuff would be really cool, I think. But really, the big goal is just not only win the Big Ten, not only go to a great bowl game, whether it be playoff, Rose Bowl, something like that, and win. Those are all goals. But then, I remember my goal last year coming in as kind of that leader of the defense as a junior. My goal was have a top 5 defense, have top 5 defense in the country, as our defense be top 5. And I don't know if I believe we might have been just outside top 5 when it was all said and done. I know we were top 10, but I think that's my same goal is, do our job for the team. Our job for the team is play great defense, and then there's offense, then there's special teams. But as a leader of the defense, have a top 5 defense in the country. I think that's my goal going in again.
Well, that's tremendous, honestly, because it's like you can only control what you can control. And if you have a top 5, a top 10 defense, even if you have like the 12th ranked defense or something like that, it's going to give these, offensive players, guys like Paul Christ and Graham Mertz and, all these offensive guys, Jake Ferguson, just chances to win the game, keeping them in the game. We see that a lot with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. As long as you give 12 a chance to stay in the game, that's all you can really hope for. So here's kind of a different question. If you were to describe Jack Sanborn's personal brand, how would you describe it, and what makes you unique?
My personal brand, like personality-wise, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know. Kind of just, Jack Sanborn.
I believe I would say 2 things that come out is that I am extremely optimistic and extremely calm. I don't think that, and I think those are 2 things, really just talking about for me, like football-wise, I think those are 2 things that are important, along with confidence, I think, too. I feel like I'm very confident in everything. But yeah, optimistic. I mean, I think in every situation, I think that all I say is, whatever, everything will be fine. It'll all work out. And I think that's something that I've just learned through kind of life, as I've gone through life, is that everything, and when you look back, everything will be fine, in my opinion. You're going to live your life, and boom, things will happen. Yeah, the awful things will happen. That's the game of life, as they say. Is life. But in the end, it'll all work out for you individually, and just having that faith is one thing. I mean, even when this whole pandemic started, I was the guy, I was like, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. Just like give it a month or 2. And I was like, no, we're going to have fans in the stands. No, it's not going to affect any of the season. maybe a little bit naive looking back on it, but I'm super optimistic and everything. And then just calm. I think that's something on the field is that everything that happens, I'm kind of just even keeled, except that fumble against Illinois my freshman year. That one I was going crazy, but I think for the most part I'm pretty calm out there and pretty just a relaxed individual. I mean, even just when football's done and I come back and I like to just kind of sit around and kind of just go with the flow, do whatever I want, and I'm not very stressed all the time.
Yeah, those are 2 things that are characteristics of leaders. You have to be optimistic and you have to be calm in the face of adversity because, like you said, life's going to knock you down and just got to get back up and it'll go on. There will be more good days ahead. So do you keep in touch with any of the Badgers in the NFL?
I'll hit them up every so often. I wouldn't really say that we like text every day or anything like that, but no, like I'll hit up TJ or something like that, or see Chris, text Chris, something like that. Actually Chris in the Mayo Bowl, I saw him after the game, so that was cool, just catching up with him a little bit. And then, but yeah, I mean, like TJ told me to come down and train in Milwaukee with him or something like that. So yeah, we'll keep in touch here and there, or after a game, say what's up, say good game, things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think we still have that connection from that we had at Madison. I think that is just because of the culture around this program. You know, you can hit up any of those guys anytime you want, and you know, it's not like you guys aren't friends anymore.
Oh yeah, for sure. It seems like there's just like this brotherhood aspect of Wisconsin that is just one of the things that makes it special when compared to some of these other universities like, you know, Michigan and Texas. A lot of these places aren't really viewed as like a developmental place you can really grow as a person. It's more so just like a pit stop to get to the next level. And sometimes that cutting corners aspect of things might translate to just not the best results in the field. So that's one consistent theme we've heard from, you know, just different Badgers, that there is like this brotherhood aspect, like you said in the beginning, you know, taking the young guy under your wing, showing him the ropes in the linebacking room, the running back room, whatever it may be. And then also just continuing that in the next level. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, I think that is why everyone, when they come out of the program, for the most part, whether they had a great career or maybe didn't do everything that they hoped for, but everyone seems to just rave about their experience. And that's the culture that, from the top down, from really Coach Alvarez to Coach Chris to the players. And I mean, our program is a player-driven program, as we say, so it's kind of up to all the players to decide, you know, how this program is going to be, what we're going to do as a team, and, you know, what our mindset is. And, you know, I think that's something that has stayed the course and kind of remained a constant, is just having that brotherhood, having that family environment that everyone just seems to love and enjoy, just being around the team and working with the team. You know, even when days are tough. I mean, I've had a few days where it's just like, geez, this is tough. It's not, you know, not a fun day. And but you know, those are the times that when we just relax and just talk or whatever, you know, those are the times that get brought up, because, you know, those are the times that, hey, you know, that guy went through the same exact workout you did, or, you know, that guy had that same exact feeling that day. And it's just having that connection and having that brotherhood, like you said, family environment where, yeah, we did everything together and we enjoyed everything about it.
Awesome. Yeah. So, okay, last question, and then we'll move on to the lightning round. Do you have like a dream opponent you'd love to play at Madison? I know for me, I was really looking forward to that Notre Dame matchup, and I think you guys are going to play him in the future, but just curious about you. Like, is there someone you'd be like, wow, this would be awesome to just throw on the Badger uniform and go up against them under the lights?
You know, I think I already played my dream opponent, and that was Oregon.
Ooh, okay.
So because my dad went there, and, you know, that had a kind of a big story attached to it during that game, was just the fact that my dad went there and he passed away when I was young, but he played college football there. So really, I mean, when I was young, I was like, okay, I mean, I'm just going to watch Oregon, because the only connection.
Fun to watch.
Yeah, the only connection.
James and all those guys.
Exactly. Michael James, LeGarrette Blount, I watched them all the time. Obviously, they were in Oregon.
The uniforms.
So yeah, so I really couldn't get every game, but I mean, they were a team that I watched every time, you know, while I was growing up, my whole family, just because we didn't know what team we should be a fan of. We were like, okay, this is our one connection to the sport. Let's be a fan of them. So, I mean, we were huge fans of them, and just the Rose Bowl, being able to play them in the Rose Bowl, I think they were my dream matchup, but I really wish that game would have gone a different way, and pulled that out.
You know, there was a lot of things in that game where one thing bounces another way. You know, Badgers win, and it is what it is. You know, I think you guys had an amazing year that year. Defense especially. I was telling Zach, because he was one of the first guys who helped us kick off this podcast. You know, just how like the Badgers are known for their running backs, but the last like several years, they've become known for the defense. And it's just fun to watch. Like when your offense gets off the field, a lot of times, you know, some people might not think the game is exciting. Oh, the defense is on the field. I'm going to wait until the offense is on the field again. But the Badgers, it's kind of like anytime you watch a defense, whether it was like Ray Lewis and the Ravens growing up, like those are fun to watch, you know, when they might lay out a big hit or pick off a pass or something. Legion of Boom in Seattle.
Yeah.
Wisconsin Badgers. So
I know. Whenever I hear, like, dude, I loved watching your guys' defense. I mean, your guys' third down defense, I loved watching it. And I'm like, sweet, dude. That's actually cool.
We don't hear that every day, yeah. All right, my friend. So let's do the lightning round. I'm going to give you some quick hitter questions and try and keep it to like 1 or 2 sentences max in the answer. Sound good?
Oh, geez. Okay.
All right. So what's your go-to meal lately?
Go-to meal lately, I'd have to say some chicken with vegetable and some like rice or noodles.
Delish. Okay. Who's a musical artist you've been listening to a lot this year?
Lil Baby.
Okay. You hear that I Don't Need Friends song with Nav?
Yeah.
That one gets me going. Okay. How about this? Apple Music or Spotify?
Spotify.
Okay. What's a good book you've read?
I'm in the middle of reading it, actually listening to the audio book, is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
I actually have that book in my bag right now. I've read like 2 pages. I need to dig into that, but that's crazy.
I had to get the audio book to just listen to his voice while reading it.
That's so true.
While he reads it.
I was like,
if I'm gonna read it, I have to just listen to like him read this. I mean, I feel like it just be a different level. Yeah. So far I like it. I think I'm almost halfway through.
Nice. I'll have to dive deeper.
I kind of just listen to it when I'm driving or on like a driving home or driving back, something like that.
Yeah. I like the premise of the book. Just like red lights and yellow lights turned into green lights. It's one thing I really think can be applicable to everybody in life. So, what's the next place you want to visit?
Next place I want to visit, I'd say like Australia or something. I love the water. To go like there, I don't know. Love the ocean, so something like that.
What's your favorite sport outside of football?
Baseball.
And if you could start or pursue any charity, what would it be?
Any charity. It's
a tough one.
It's a tough one, but a good one. I would have to say it would probably have to connect to something with, I mean, just through life experience, me losing my father at a young age, probably something through that, or possibly something pertaining to like heart disease or like being healthy, just because that's how my father passed away. Something around those lines. Not 100% sure. Yeah,
man. Sorry to hear that, but I'm sure he's super proud of you looking down. So we always like to wrap up our show this way. How's the family and how's Jack Sanborn, the person, doing?
Great. I mean, all things considered in this crazy world that we live in right now, great. I mean, no complaints on my end as an individual. Just doing what I love to do and what I just living life kind of. And then, family's all doing well. The younger brother finishing up his last semester of high school and then going to be up here. So I think the family's all in good spot, and me too individually. How's yourself?
Yeah, I kind of a lot of the same with you, man. It's been a weird year, but for us, we just put our head down and work, and it's been a good year. Just further connecting with athletes, helping them out with their branding, helping out some businesses with their branding, deepening our relationships across the board, just kind of making music, making podcasts, just kind of spreading love. We did a toy drive. That was super rewarding because you can't really solve all the world's problems, but you can start somewhere and help. Just trying to do the best we can. It's been a good year, making the most of it no matter what the circumstances.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. That wraps things up for today. We want to thank Jack for coming on the show. Jack, any final thoughts?
Not really. Just go Badgers, getting ready for next year, and it's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for listening, Badgers fans. If you enjoyed this show and want to help support, easiest way to do that is simply tell a friend, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. Any of those things go a long way. They're super appreciated. And if you're on Twitter, that's a great way to connect with us. You can find us at IKE Badgers, where we post analysis, highlight scores, and more. Make sure to go definitely follow Jack Sanborn on Twitter. He's going to be building on his first couple seasons at Madison. Definitely looking to make an impact this year. Pure sports without the politics. Ike. Lastly, if you're an athlete or business and want to talk branding, send us an email. Welcome to Ike@gmail.com. A lot of exciting things to come. My name is KJ Eichstaedt. This has been another great episode of the IKE Badgers Podcast. And until next time, Badgers fans, we're out.
If you enjoyed this episode of the IKE Badgers Podcast and want to help the show, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend. That's how we continue to grow and provide great value for you. Thank you again for listening, and on Wisconsin.
Welcome.
Welcome to Ike.
We have touched down at your destination.
Here you'll find inspiration, ideas, creativity, conversation, energy, culture, stories, and more, while you listen to an audio experience unlike anything else. It's beautiful sound that appeals to the senses. It's
Information you can use. Interesting guests. Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to Ike.
this is the IKE Podcast.
Hey everyone, it's Ike here, co-founder. We have a great show for you today. Kicking off the first episode of the podcast, KJ, myself, Max, and Chris sit down and we talk big ideas. And we're happy you're here.
Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome to Ike. My name is KJ Eichstaedt. I'll be your host, and we're going to get right into it.